Hi there. How would you like to save some money when you're learning how to fly? Well, let me tell you, son, about the wonderful world of chair flying. My name's Graham Wilson, and I'm sitting in a chair right now in my basement. So, what are we talking about today? Chair flying. Now, that's not one of those funny little things that you see buzzing around like a little kite with the motor on the back, and the guy's sitting in a little chair going through the air. Those things look pretty dangerous to me as a pilot, but yeah, so that's not chair flying. The chair flying I'm talking about is something that just about every pilot out there has done at one point in their career or in their pastime of learning how to fly. uh, and Usually what I would do whenever I had students and they were just they were getting a little bit stuck on maybe practicing their takeoffs and landings. In Canada we call that a circuit. I'm not sure what you call it in the States. Probably practicing your takeoffs and landings in the pattern. But that can get pretty hectic at first when the student is really, there's a lot of things going on and it has to be boom 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 right after one after another, and then now you got to try to land the airplane. So that's probably one of the hairiest parts of learning how to fly. And One of the things that helps out that is chair flying. So what I would tell my students when we're kind of getting ready to do a bunch of these circuits and maybe going solo pretty soon is that just to give them a little backgrounder of, I heard this study that happened. It was a while ago. There was some psychological study that I remember hearing about it somewhere, reading it online about how there was somebody they got a group of people together and they split them up into little subgroups, and then they had people practice their free throws, like their basketball free throw shots. And so some people would actually practice this much per day. Some people would imagine doing it this much today, and the other people didn't do anything. So they found that the people from the study that I saw, that I heard about, it was is that the people that imagined it did just as well almost as the people that were actually practicing the free throws. Now, before I came on here, I don't like to any good flight instructor won't be blowing smoke up anybody's anything. And so I wanted to make sure I finally got the source to this that I've been telling people for years. And the bottom line is, I couldn't really find a good source of it. I was going on Google, I was searching here and there, and it's like, oh, here's an article about exactly what I'm talking about, but there's no sources cited. It was like this guy did it, and then someone else wrote an article and just copied and pasted it onto their website. So to tell you the truth, I couldn't find any actual, okay, this was the study that I'd heard about. It's just kind of like this urban legend type thing. But people have done master's theses and other stuff and tweaked it out. So I think it's out there somewhere. It's probably in some kind of like hidden academia world that us the laymen are not allowed to get into. But anyways, from everything that I've seen, it's like, okay, I don't have anything scientifically proven about that, but I did see it on the internet. So if you believe me here, it's just as good because like I'm a guy in my basement on the internet, so that's pretty credible, right? But you'll just have to take my word for it. Now, I was saying this stuff to people over the years, and I found that it worked for him. And you'll talk to any pilot. We've been doing this for probably as long as pilots have been learning how to fly. Is that you imagine procedures that you're doing? So you sit in your chair, just like I'm sitting in my little wood chair here, and you imagine what you're going to be doing step by step by step by step. And then by the time you get into the airplane, you're kind of mentally prepared for it, and you've kind of already done it. It's almost like before they invented flight simulators, you got your own little mental flight simulator in your head. So I have seen that this works. I just can't give you any exact scientific research on it or anything other than, hey, the guy in the basement says it works. So yeah, we would do. I would tell people like I said, to just kind of practice everything. Okay, you're sitting there. Imagine yourself sitting there. You're on the runway. You're cleared for takeoff. Okay, what do you do? Advance the throttle. You got full power. Now you're speeding up, speeding up, speeding up. And then, okay, our rotation speed is 55 knots. Okay, we got that. And oh, yeah, we're supposed to check airspeed's coming up. Gauges are all green. Away we go. So, like, just kind of all the stuff you're supposed to do, and that works. The students that actually went home and took some time and effort to actually sit there and practice it in their chair. I found it was like night and day. The people that did it and did not do it, and you can do that for any procedure in flying too. I've had students that were extremely busy people. Doctors, lawyers, like you teach everybody how to fly. And the people, business owners that are really busy. So for those people, the ones that I've noticed that they go and they fly and they have a good time. And then as soon as they leave the door and they get back in their car to drive away from the airport, boom, all the flying's gone out of their head. They don't even think about it until the next week they're back. And there's really no improvement at all. The people that think about it throughout the week, they come back and they're better. They might not be perfect, but they'll do considerably better. You'll also notice that with if you're looking at Formula One racers, or if you're looking at aerobatic pilots before they go up and do a routine, you'll see the aerobatic pilots are visualizing the routine. Okay, I'm doing a loop, I'm doing a roll, I'm doing a split S, and you'll see them walking around and they'll be closing their eyes and imagining how they're flying around. So, those are real pros doing that, and so I mean, it works for the pros. I'll bet you any money that professional basketball players are visualizing doing that stuff too. So, according to the guy in the basement, you got to sit there and do some chair flying. You'll save yourself a lot of money in the long run by improving that much quicker, and you don't have to spend the hours in the airplane. It's also very helpful. I've seen it if you have a flight simulator at home. Some people are real big simulator guys, and it's, it's nice. Someone trusts me in the basement. That's cool. Yeah. So the flight simulator guys can get all crazy into it, and they love it, and like that's their thing, And then they get into the real plane. Or a lot of them do. I've taught lots of people that have way more hours on the simulator than they do on an actual airplane. And there's a simulator I find is not so it's not so great for the initial stages of flying. But later on, and this is why airliners all have huge full motion simulators and everything, because they're fantastic for simulating emergencies and getting to know procedures. And you watch even those airline pilots that have there's certain memory items that they have to know for their emergency procedures. I can guarantee you those guys, before they're getting a check ride done, those guys are sitting, or the gals are sitting there in a chair and they're thinking, okay, I got to do this. And then they can even imagine like where are the buttons I have to press, where the gauges I have to check, where are the switches I have to check, circuit breakers to reset. So all that visualization gets them to the check ride on their Airbus or their Boeing or whatever, and they'll do it. So chair flying is not just for the beginner; it's also for the expert pilot or the professional pilot. And yeah, so like it's just very, very useful. What was I talking about? Simulators, yeah, and a couple examples there. The most, I would say, probably the most. There's two cases that come to mind. One was this student I had. He started flying with me when he was about, I'm going to guess, 12 or 13. Which is a little bit young to be learning how to fly, I think, depending on the person. Very few people could be successful starting that young, but this guy had to drive in from out of town pretty far. His parents would drive him in because he was taking flying lessons and didn't have a driver's license. He's 12, 13. It was about an hour drive from where he lived, so that's a long bike ride if he had to do that on his bicycle. So Yeah, well, he had flown with another instructor a few times before, and generally you get some kids show up there, and the parents want them, or the parents are pushing them to learn how to fly. I don't really agree with parents doing that for their kids that young, but well, they got the money, they pay the bills, right? So uh, the one instructor that had the student before me, he said, he's 12, he's 13, just go flying around, have fun. I was pretty new instructor at the time. I was like, well, I don't know, maybe the kid wants to fly the plane. So I he- I went out with we were kind of taxiing out, and we had to get a clearance to go taxi some more to get out to the runway. And I asked the student, the 12, 13 year old kid, like, hey, you ever talk on the radio? He says, yeah, I think I could do that. It's like, did you ever talk on the radio with your other instructor? No, no, he did. He just kind of took off and we flew around. I'm like, well, okay. You think you can talk on the radio? And he said, yeah, yeah, I think so. I'm like, oh, go for it. So he gets on there, does an absolutely perfect radio call, wins the ground, blah, 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 blah. Just rattles it right off. And I'm like, my eyes are bugging out of my head. Like, who is this kid? you know? And so, okay. And I said, do you know how to taxi the plane? Yeah, I think so. So he does out perfect taxiing job, even putting like correct wind inputs, which you're supposed to do. And everyone forgets how to do that. But by the time they get their license, everyone forgets that stuff. This kid's doing it. I'm like, how did he do this? So as we're taxiing out, he said, I was asking him, like, sure you haven't been in a plane too much before? No, I did a couple flights with the other instructor. I'm like, wait a minute, do you have a flight simulator at home? Oh yeah, I got the flight simulator. I downloaded the one for the Tomahawk, and I'm on it like every day. It's like I love it. It's like he's like, I even go online and I talk on the radio, and there's air traffic controllers. And I'm like, oh, this kid's like hardcore into this, into the the whole simulation world. And it was amazing to see. And he ended up being a very good pilot. I think he's working right now. Actually, this was a while ago. Well, if he's not working, he should be. He's good enough. He's great. Yeah. So that was an example of how just some kid would just do fantastic by. Now he was using the simulator as practice, but the same thing. If he was thinking about it, the same, and even in a chair, he'd be a lot better. There's another guy. I had to give him a checkout. He hadn't flown in, I think it was about 2 or 3 years. It was quite a long time. So people can, and he just had a private license. He didn't have a whole lot of hours, but so so he came back, and I said, okay, you haven't flown in a few years. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll start off. We'll do some of these circuits, taking off and landing. And the guy went up, did everything absolutely perfectly. We went flying around it, like we did everything. He did everything up to total flight test standards, which is pretty rare for someone that hasn't flown in a couple years. And I asked him, like, just wait a minute, do you have a simulator at home? He's like, oh yeah, I downloaded this. I've been practicing every day after work for like 3 hours. So I wanted to get this perfect when I got it here. And I was like, well, you did. So next time you want, just grab the keys and go. So so he did really well. But now there's something else here. We're getting a question here. Could you show us how you yourself would simulate a circuit sitting in your basement? Okay. Yes, I can do that. Great question. And I'm going to kick it up even a notch. Okay. This is going to be even better than chair flying. Not as good as an actual $1,000 simulator. We're going to kick it up a notch to what I used to do when I was learning how to fly, coffee table flying. Okay. Now, first of all, I need a whiteboard, but I don't have a whiteboard. But I have the next best thing, something even better, the cardboard. Okay, so here we go. I am going to be practicing doing a circuit in my basement, and what we need is a coffee table. So here, look at that. Is that a coffee table or what? Okay, so what you would do, you're standing around. We're going to start here. We're going to do a standard left-handed circuit. Here we are. We're on the runway. Now you're on the here we are on the runway, and we're going to simulate doing a circuit, but to help it get into your brain a little bit better, you add a little bit of motion to it, so you're actually walking around your coffee table. So what I would do here is I'd start off. Here I am. Okay, okay, I'm cleared for takeoff. Great, and then you try to imagine every little thing along the way. Okay, I give it full power. I look at my tachometer. Okay, yep, I got full powers established. Start rolling down the runway. And okay, the airspeed's coming alive. Gauges are all green. We're still cool. Rotating at whatever speed you want to rotate, 55 maybe, we'll say. And okay, I'm climbing up. Going to climb out at the 74 knots, which is our best rate of climb speed. Climbing up here. At the circuit, you're going to be 500 feet above ground level. Hey, there we go. Now I'm at 500 feet. Take a look over. Always look before you turn. And we're going to do, depending on where this little turn here, it's a shallow turn. You're not going to be banking too much. So you're going to remember, okay, at my flying school, we do no more than 20 degrees or no more than a rate 1 turn. Whatever, you fly it the way that your instructors want you to. So we're doing a nice gentle climbing turn here, still climbing. Okay, now maybe I'm out here, and all right, I'm going to be the downwind leg, as they call it, is 1,000 feet above ground. GL. Okay, nice chicken scratch so far, and here we are. We're walking around our coffee table here. Don't hit your knee on the corner. Okay, so we're going up here, 74 knots still, and okay, we're going to be leveling out here on our downwind leg of the coffee table. We're at 1,000 feet AGL. You're imagining this. I'm like, okay, now I got to reduce my power, so I'm going to reduce my power back to whatever your school, whatever your airplane wants, 2,300 RPM, 2,100 RPM, something. Power reduction, whatever speed gets you, whatever. And trim it up. Everyone forgets to trim here, and they start climbing. So, yeah, so you're imagining that. Here I am. Okay, reduce the power, trim. And we're going down here. Now you got to do your downwind checks or pre-landing checks. Imagine that you're imagining where it would be in the cockpit, but you're standing up right over here by your coffee table. And okay, now you've done all your pre-landing checks. Here we are. You're about halfway down the coffee table. Now you're going to make your radio call. If it's an uncontrolled airport, you're talking to just the traffic. Hey, whatever. Think of some little town, Podunk traffic, or are you talking to the air traffic controller? Okay, JFK Tower, whatever. I don't think you'd be doing circuits at JFK Airport, New York. But yeah, whatever tower, blah, 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 and actually say it out loud. Say it to your cat. Pretend your cat or your dog is your air traffic controller. There you go. You did that. Now we're coming down here. Now, eventually you're going to be reducing power somewhere around here. So I don't know. Maybe I'm going to plan on touching down here pretty much where I started. I'll reduce my power. And when I get to the corner here, before I turn, I'm going to start descending on this part of the coffee table. So you do that, reduce your power, trim, lose your speed, nose drops a little bit, give it a nice 30-degree bank turn. Some people don't like it that much. That's what I like to teach it as. Keeps your pattern nice, and then you get out too far from your coffee table. So we're going down here. Now we're descending. We're getting our airspeed, getting our flaps all set, get it all trimmed up again. We're going to be at 500 feet above ground level here when we're turning on final approach. Here we go, final approach. Make sure you got your flaps and all the proper speed that you want. Go in and land. There we go. One trip around the coffee table. Do that 50 times. You're going to be doing great. So, and I probably did that 50 times before I went solo. More fantastic artwork. I don't know if you guys can see that. I got kind of looks like there was a footprint on there. I don't know. I think it's off by now. But yeah, there we go. So there's kicking it up a notch, coffee table flying, even better than chair flying. Man, I tell you what, that guy in the basement, that guy in the the guy in the basement, and you know, if your instructors don't believe you, you say, "Look, dude, I saw this guy in the basement. He's awesome." And then you show him the video, and I'll bet you your instructor will say, "Yep, that's right." So, oh, here we go. Hey, Roos Vision. All right. Roos Vision. Hey, hey, super pilot greetings from good old Germany. One of these days I'll fly with you. Haha. Hey, good. Hey, Frank, how you doing? Actually, I know the guy, so yeah, very cool. So, anyways, that's about it for what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to just, you know, and this can work for anything. If you're learning a sport, if you're learning, probably I would even think that would work for to a limited extent playing guitar or even keyboards or something like that. You know, any new little skill. Um, what do we got here? Oh, somebody learned the phonetic alphabet here. Happy Foxtrot, Romeo, India, Delta, Alpha Yankee. Happy Friday to you too. So everybody, that's about it for today. And happy Friday to everyone. And thanks for coming by. We'll catch you next Monday because I'm doing this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And I hope you guys have a great time sitting in your chairs all weekend. I'm going to have a good weekend. I got pizza planned for tonight. So, okay, we're going to shut her down. And thank you very much for watching. Bye.